Okay, with Connor Ryan, he's the producer, writer, and star of Mem Memoria Obscura. I was like all set to say that right, and I didn't.
It's a challenging one. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Memoria Obscura, right?
There you go. Memoria Obscura. Yes.
Yeah. I was talking to your co-director, David Nelson. Did he tell you what I said about you? You had
Uh,
the vibe?
I did. So I got to watch the interview. Yeah, you're saying about Paul Walker.
You have a Paul Walker vibe, yeah.
It's funny enough, is my best friend growing up, his mother used to tell me that all of the time. She goes, "You should be in the next Fast and Furious film." So it's funny you said that. So she used to tell me that all the time.
Yeah, because just even in the film too, there's something like there's a gentleness to you, but there's also kind of like I don't want to mess with you at the same time.
No, I appreciate that. I'm a huge Paul Walker fan, so I grew
Yeah.
up watching a lot of his movies.
Plus, I guess you can argue that there's some handsomeness there to it too as well, right? So
Thank you. Yeah, no, he is excellent. Many people haven't seen his film Running Scared, which is really good. I don't know if you've seen that one.
yeah,
That was a good one. I
I
like.
just watched Pleasantville way back. I don't know if you've
Okay,
ever seen
yeah.
Pleasantville. Yeah,
Yep. It's been a
yeah.
really long time since I watched that, but yeah, it's a good one.
It still holds up today. There's a lot of kind of interesting themes that occur that kind of hold up to today's society. So.
Oh, it was also very unique. That was a unique
Yeah.
film. Yeah, it was a good one.
All right, let's talk about this film. So David co-directed it. You starred in it. Did you start writing this script based on that? Okay, I'm going to star in this film. Was that always kind of your idea?
Yeah, so my background is I did get my degree in filmmaking, and I'm kind of weird. I went kind of the opposite way. I got my degree and learned all the technical side of filmmaking, and actually got into acting from there in Philadelphia region. And I started to do a lot of short films, and I actually got hooked up with an agent out there and like in the main line, and I started doing some really random acting gigs. And as you know, if you're not in New York or LA, you get this, the ceiling's very low for acting gigs. It's like you're doing your local, I don't know, carpet commercials or like car dealership. There's nothing really too,
Yeah.
crazy. So you're stuck with the independent kind of short film world. And then I just realized I want to take a real effort at this, and I came to LA. So I've been here for like, I guess, 11 years now. And, you know, in that time, I never stopped filmmaking, actually, doing the writing, the directing, editing, but I always wrote for myself in mind. And so I wrote myself basically. What I started to realize is like in acting, a lot of times people just wait around for the call. You know what I mean? You just sit there and you just audition and you just wait for someone to call to book you, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not waiting around. I'm not going to be doing this. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to write for my own roles, and that actually it's been beneficial in certain ways, but also bad in others. Whereas, like, because of my films that I've created, once I did get union, I got into SAG. The auditions that I had were like phenomenal. Like they were all like lead roles, and we're supporting roles in like big Netflix. And like my first audition, right out the bag, I like to tell everybody because it's really amazing that I came from nothing, like no connections to
Yeah.
Hollywood at all. But when I first signed with my first theatrical agent, I auditioned for Mank. It was going to be opposite Gary Oldman. So Fincher, I'm a huge Fincher fan, but that was my first audition, just, right from doing a Taco Bell commercial audition. And then next month I'm union now. And then I'm auditioning for, Fincher films. So I was like, what's going on here? But it's because, and that's why I tell a lot of actors that are young and maybe don't come from connections, is really you got to create your own content, put yourself in front of the camera. And now we have these 8K, 12K cameras, and you look phenomenal if you know how to really operate it. And so that's kind of been my journey. And so definitely, yeah, so a heavy background in acting. And Mel Gibson's like one of my biggest inspirations as a director, writer, actor. And I think he's phenomenal. Braveheart, the fact that he did all that he acted and directed in that's one of the most incredible, actor director combos ever, so.
Yeah. You seem younger than Braveheart though. You seem like you must have been like a toddler, like or like 3 4 years old when that came out. You don't have to age
Yeah,
yourself,
I mean,
but
I was probably like I was born in '90, so I was probably like
Yeah,
5 or 6 years old. But like as you know,
yeah,
back then because of VHS, movies had long shelf lives. I
yeah.
mean, you know what I mean? They lasted for like 6, 7 years after their VHS. It was still a very big deal to rewatch. So I was raised with all those '80s and '90s films. You know?
So you're from Philadelphia, like born and raised in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Funny enough, it's like some of the biggest stars right now are all from like my area. It's called Bucks County, but like
Yeah.
Bradley
I
Cooper,
was
I
gonna
think
say
Miles
Bradley Cooper's from
Teller.
there. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so you have a lot of it's really random actually. You have I think it's Dane DeHaan. You have a lot of these really gifted actors.
yeah.
Mike Vogel actually went to where my dad went to high school, from Warminster, Pennsylvania. So you have a lot of these really, talented actors that are all from like kind of the area that I was born and raised in, you know?
Well, there's probably some like it's so interesting because you're in a big city and you're kind of like like you're the sister of New York City in many ways, right? From a sports standpoint, like what's Philadelphia? People like they know New York. I'm talking about the common person, right? They know New York, but it's like, what's this Philadelphia thing? What's going on? Like the birth of the United States, the bell with a crack in it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Philly is very interesting because the Philadelphia, like the whole region and suburbia outside of it, you just have unbelievably talented people
Yeah,
that are just tremendously, whether it's musicianship or acting or whatever, maybe, but they have no idea what to do with it, right? Because that's like most of Middle America, where it's like you have these amazing, talented people, but they don't know what to do with it. There's no industry there, right? Our industry
yeah,
in Philadelphia is blue collar. It's contracting work, it's plumbing, it's
yeah.
normal hard middle class work, which is normal for most of America. So they just kind of like live and die with these amazing talents, but don't actually, seek it out because you got to be kind of crazy to to
You got
to
a
actually
certain
go
show
for it.
that's been on for 20 years, right? With Philadelphia in the title, right? So
Oh yeah, Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
yeah,
yeah, which is
yeah.
not even shot there, but yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, wasn't it
exactly.
shot there originally though? Wasn't it? It was
No,
never
I
shot there.
think it's always shot in. So is The Office. They were always shot in L.A. Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
like sound stages
Well,
and
yeah. But I thought Sonny was Philadelphia. I thought they shot a lot of it in L.A. No, I mean, sorry, in Philadelphia. No.
I could be wrong, but I think I watched something where they said it was actually just all LA, but I could be
Okay.
wrong. I think what they do is they bring the crew out, like what they
Sure.
did
For
for
like
The
second unit
Office.
or yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like they'll bring it out for like B-roll and stuff like that, and like
yeah.
even like Friends, like they all that was shot in all of LA, and so
Of
they
course.
shot
Yeah,
the famous New York,
yeah,
B-roll and stuff, and then they
yeah.
trick you into thinking that it's
No, no,
it's
no. But I
actually
just like
there.
I know I remember some scenes. Like I remember they filmed at Lincoln Financial Field. I remember like
Yeah,
they,
absolutely. Yeah, that stuff for
yeah,
sure. Yeah, they'll go on location for things like that, but I think like the majority of it is
yeah.
all LA, sound stages and stuff.
Okay, so do you consider like what do you consider home now? Los Angeles or Philadelphia?
No, I've been here for 11 years, so yeah, this is definitely home now, and it's one of those things where it's I'm proud to come from that area, but I
Yeah,
love this is like my home now. This is when you move here, you find out pretty quickly if you're cut out, if you're made for LA or New York. Same thing with New York as well,
yeah.
and you find out quickly like this is definitely not for me, or like this is it. And when I moved here, I knew right away like this is my city. Like this is it fit me right away.
All right, so to go back to what you were saying before, it's like you're kind of it's there's something about like how you're not waiting for someone like you because there's so many randomness to getting a gig, right? It's not just your talent alone. It's like your co-star, all these kind of like who you're matching with in terms of the film. There's like so many dynamics. You can't control what gigs you get as an actor, right? But at the same time, it must be great when you go on auditions because you know that you have other stuff that you can do. So that there must like be less pressure, one would assume, right?
Well, I think
To
yeah, I
land a
think you
gig,
bring
what
it
I'm saying. Yeah.
absolutely yeah. There's yes, to answer your question, yes. It's also just like auditioning is just hard. I mean, the greats out there when you see them like interviewing, I mean, not interview, sorry, auditioning is so unnatural. It's
It's
just
interviewing
so,
too. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's just so deeply unnatural. And I'm not a good auditioner. I know that about myself. Like, I mean, I've done a lot of workshops, a lot of trainings and classes, but like it's a world of difference actually being there on set with the director, and there's a care and a love and a passion. And when you get into an audition room, it's a very cold setting. It's very, the cast director's already bored and tired. He's already seen 40 people. And there's a lot of pseudo in acting in the arts, there's a lot of pseudo information. There's so much snake oil. Like, oh, do something zany, do something so. You'll hear that a lot. It's just a lie. It's just not true. You know what I mean? Because if you do that, then you'll go in. The cast director is like, what are you doing? Like, we didn't ask you to do that. That's not on this. That's the reality. Like, I've done like so many auditions, I can't even tell you. But
Yeah,
like all this like pseudo slop where it's like, oh, go in there and like do something with a chair on your head. Like, that's not really how it works. That's, they have a script for a reason. They want you to read the script, but in your own
yeah,
way. And they have a very finite understanding of who they want. And when they see that come across the table, that's just who they want,
exactly.
and
Yeah, yeah,
that's really how it is. But there's a lot of, I just get bothered with that because it's like they want to act like they know something or drop some knowledge. But the bottom line is that when the right voice comes in with the right look and the way they see you on camera, that's what they're looking for at the end of the day,
but at the same time, you're getting to know the casting agent directors, and then when they're because they're doing like so many films a year, right? And they like oh they have you in mind, and they keep remembering you, so you're kind of auditioning for them as well, right?
So that's a great point.
Yeah,
So the thing, and life is all about timing, right? So I
yeah,
fought very hard to get into the union, and my journey was a lot harder than normal people. It was very difficult, and uh, once I got my SAG-AFTRA agent, my theatrical agent, and I'm like, I'm at the show now. I'm at the big show. I'm auditioning for lead roles in Netflix and Amazon. COVID hits. Within
yeah,
months, I believe, of getting my agent, COVID hits, and it changed the entire way that us actors audition. It went fully remote. So all of
yeah.
our stuff is, I mean, I finally went back in person. I guess it was a couple months ago for the first time in like, I think like 5 years,
Oh wow, okay.
for a big national commercial. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy to be back. So you're bringing up a really good point where before you'd form these relationships with these casting directors because commercials and TV and film are very different. TV and film, the casting directors are like these legitimate names that you will know. And that's really when you go in the room, that's like, oh, that's so and so's name on the casting agency building. Like, right? With commercials, it's not like that, right? Like the main casting agency or the casting office, it'll be some guy working like hourly that's doing the audition, that's doing the taping and stuff, right? So it's
Yeah,
not like you don't want to make a big relationship with a guy that's just doing the taping. He's got no skin in the game. But yes, TV and film,
yeah,
that's when you want to create those relationships because they will remember you. And that guy is the big cheese. He's the one that owns the agency and the
yeah,
casting and it does work that way. But once again, it's all been remote for years now. And so I've
yeah.
done an in person. It's been years since I've done an in person for TV and film.
But there's a different game plan. I'm gonna get to your film in a second just to finish the point. The game
Yeah.
plan is that you know how to film though, right? You know how to light and you know how to like make yourself good. I know everybody else could say they could do that, but at the same time you're kind of directing yourself, right? When you're doing the
Yes.
in tape edition. So that's a whole other kind of skill set. I'm assuming not everybody can do that. Not every actor can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely have a vast knowledge on like what it looks like on camera, like how to behave on
Yeah.
camera, because I've had so much, experience with that. You know what I mean? But it really does, sometimes as actors, you really have to trust that a lot of the times, like at least growing up, the casting directors, they know what they're doing. They really do usually pick the right person. So I tried to always tell myself that I'm like, hey, the right role has still not found me. It is not. You know what I mean? And so you just have to believe that. And also take matters into your own hand. Like you have to, because in Hollywood, I tell everybody also, any young actor I see move here from like, Wisconsin or wherever,
Yeah.
just remember Hollywood in the arts is so different than other professions. Whether you were in most professions, you could see a visible ladder. Oh, if I do this, this, and this for 5 years, I'll get this promotion, I'll get this job, and
Yeah,
most
yeah,
likely it'll
yeah.
work
It's a
out.
clock and yeah, yeah,
Our industry, it doesn't work like that. I mean, like, it's all about nepotism and massive wealth that really pushes
yeah.
our industry. And you can complain about it, right? And like I understand that, but it's like that's just the way it is, and it will never change. So you have to take matters into your own hands and do whatever you can to put yourself on screen, to submit to festivals, and to make those networks, networking and connections.
So you brought up Braveheart, but I was like Swingers is kind of a great example of like a group of actors kind of
Yeah.
making a film, right? They had a pretty good director who was inexperienced at the time, but he kind of knew his stuff, and all these guys became famous, right? Like there's a whole lot of them, right? Obviously Favreau who wrote the
Yeah.
script, but then you got Vince Vaughn as well, right? And then yeah, so everybody did well, right? Because they did their own thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the problem is that, there's always an argument to be made about the
Yeah,
industry now. I do believe the industry now is harder than it's ever been, ever, period, in the
sure.
history of
Yeah, I'll
mankind.
agree with that.
And all you got to do is look at like what really happened. I mean, Paramount Pictures, you would literally have open days on the lot where actors could go into the studio and audition for roles. That was a
Yeah,
reality. Imagine right now if you saw them like online on Facebook, Paramount and Universal were just open for actors because back then it wasn't like everybody was trying to get into Hollywood. Now everybody is kind of like taking over our culture where everyone wants to be famous, whether it's on TikTok or in the movie. Like, it's
yeah.
really, oversaturated. It's obsessive. Where people back then they're just like, hey, I'm just going to have my 9 to 5. I'm doing really well. The economy's good, and but and there's kind of an open avenue for they were needing
The world,
actors.
there's lots of arguments to make that the world got smaller, and before, like even myself from a small town, Hollywood seemed like like Mars, right? It was like a long ways away, and now
Absolutely.
yeah, the internet, it's because everything's so small, right? Because it's
It's
like
so saturated.
yeah,
It's the oversaturation is what is, I believe, is why it's so difficult. And so once again, the only key to get out of the oversaturation is, of course, money. And so money is bigger. It used to be like, no, it's like actually a good balance of talent and money. Now it really is not. The talent has gone way down as far as when we're doing scales, and it's
yeah.
money. Like the money is really where to get through all the slop and all the saturation, the money is what cuts through and will get you the eyeballs, and the attention.
Well, but my saying is luck is opportunity meets preparation, and you just have to wait for it. And listen, this
Yeah.
film's great, right? I'm going to get to your film because it's
Yes.
fantastic. And you've got your partner, Mr. Nelson. He knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy. He's an impressive guy. He's very like, aw shucks, even though he
He's
is from
yeah.
LA, right? But he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but basically he's like, but he kind of knows his stuff, and you guys made a really great. I'm gonna call it a proof of concept. You don't have to. Proof of concept 5 minute film that has different layers. It looks fantastic. I know you didn't spend a ton of money on it. Like you guys, like where did you meet? How did you know that you wanted like that? He was a guy to work with, David.
So Dave saw my when we started working together in marketing, we knew pretty quickly because when you're on the same team together in like the video, you start to like really talk about your interests, your film interests. And I'd already done a film and multiple different projects that Dave saw, and he was interested in like that aesthetic. I'd done a film called Baldy that I'm like really proud about. That was my first real attempt at making like a cinematic, real, big world kind of short film, and it takes place in the 1980s, and it's about this scientist who's creating the first AI functioning robot in his bedroom, in his own home. He has like a home laboratory, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like a sci-fi drama. And so Dave already saw some of my work before we worked together, and then I saw some of his work, and then we just really connected, and I think our personalities we really work well together with that, and we were just really going back and forth on these ideas, and then finally I came across this idea that popped up into my head that was like a more of like an intellectual take on a Blade Runner, right? Where it's not like this gunslinging kung fu master, but someone that is doing this service, under the radar, away from the government, that is altering people's social, credit scores, that is
Yeah.
erasing memories and doing these things, And so it's like this big elaborate idea, but wanted to show it in this very finite 5 minute time space,
Because but you know this is going to happen. You know that this your idea is going to happen in our lifetime. I have a feeling. Well,
Oh, it's already happening in China. Like I believe there's certain regions in China where you absolutely have a social like a social credit score where like personality of bad interactions with this individual. I think I watched like a whole like little documentary about it on just how invasive some of these governments are on people's lives and stuff. And so I just thought that was really interesting, and I'm like that's like really cool. Like no one really touches on that aspect of it, right? There's always some big like sci-fi gunslinger
yeah.
thing. Like, but what if we did something that was a little bit more based in reality and where it's like not, that's why we were also attracted to Blade Runner, where it's like kind of like a retrofuturism, where it's
Yeah.
kind of still grounded and it's not as sleek. It's grounded in like kind of like the not too distant future.
People forget though that movie was a huge bomb when it came out.
It
It just
was, yes, it
yeah.
was.
And speaking, you're talking about VHS. The VHS brought the sci-fi audience too, because sci-fi was different. It was a Star Wars sci-fi, right? It was that kind of
Yes,
like you're in outer space and we're cowboys and cowboys, but that kind of brought down the more grounded what we see, kind of in with the Purbalist kind of like that kind of like film that shows on right now, right? Where it's about the
exactly.
it's about humanity, it's about the human story, right? So
Correct.
which I think that your feature is going to be about.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's just it's really, me and Dave, the reason why we get along so well and why we're excited that we're getting back in the saddle again soon is that we want to bring back. We just feel like you have to carve out what it is you're trying to do, and I feel like Hollywood has lost its way entirely, and we were trying to bring back that 80s 90s excitement about the cinema, right? The actual theater experience of like this world building. And James Cameron continues to do that with avatars, and your Joseph Kosinski, who just did the Top Gun Maverick and F1. Like, these are big blockbusters with like hearts, right? Which is what the 80s and 90s, why it was so powerful, is you had these blockbusters, but like you really cared about the characters. Like it was these character driven films where like you just loved them, whether it was wanting to buy the action figure of Terminator or like, it's Predator. Like they had that where you loved the characters. I feel like as Hollywood's left that. Like now it's like you're almost rooting for the characters to die, right? Like that's one of the main things
Well,
going on right
there's a lot of
now.
anti-hero stories, right? Where like they're very
Well, I
flawed
mean,
and yeah,
the anti-hero is inadvertent, right? Because of how bad casting has gotten. It's like you just want them to die because they're annoying. You don't like the actors, you don't like the characters that they're writing. And that's what I'm seeing trending on Stranger Things. Like I haven't got to watch the latest thing, but like
yeah,
like everyone's saying, I'm rooting for Vecna at this point. You know what I mean? Like everybody wants like all the kids to die.
yeah,
Like you know what I mean? So I'm like, wow, but that's what's happening is that I think Hollywood's just really out of touch deeply on what the
but
audiences want to watch, what they care
yeah.
about.
But that said, when you're in your early 20s, you're kind of an asshole, right? So like,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like you're
Well,
talking about Stranger Things, right? So, but
yeah, you
okay,
have that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. That's a good point.
So I was telling David too, like the first scene in the film, I thought that like I see a lot of short films, right? So I saw the time before I started watching it, and I thought that was going to be the film, and I was happy to watch this scene and to see it just in that little enclosed area where like it's very kind of like a man cave, kind of like in the basement of like I don't know where you shot it, but those like
Yeah.
those fake wooden like
Yes,
background,
the wood
right?
panel. Yeah,
The
yeah,
wood paneling, right? Like we used to have back in the 90s, right? With men and stuff in the 90s. And
yeah,
it reminded me like it just like I was into the scene. And then you take us out into this world,
hmm,
right? And I was like fascinated by it. I was like really into it. And I was like, oh, this is like they're creating a world as well. They're creating this kind of
yeah,
like a little bit in the future, but we still kind of get it, right? And yeah, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then you kind of give us the twist ending, right? We're like, okay, now we got to know what happens next. So,
yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
right, so you got
yeah.
us. You go, you we let's. I'm signing up. Where's Netflix? They got to buy the show, right?
Well, that's yeah,
Yeah,
so. Yeah, no, I really appreciate you
yeah,
digging and stuff like that. But yeah, it's so it's just Hollywood. What's that famous thing? It's a big club and you ain't in it. You know what I mean? There's like a very pessimistic outlook, but it's like I don't like to talk like that. It's more of like it's really about meeting the right person, and why Dave and I created this is like we're at the tier now where like I know how to do all this stuff. I've been doing this for 15 years now. I know
yeah,
how to make a film. I know how to make it on a really, we know. I mean, now that we saw our film, like we had to see it at Regal Cinemas at this like beautiful new Regal, and like you actually get to see your movie on the big screen. You're like, this is
yeah,
amazing. This looks better than what I'm seeing paying $30 to get. So it's like we're there. The thing that we are missing now and where I'm educating myself is really meeting investors and figuring out how to get real big money to back us to make the films we want to make. And that is by far, by the way, anyone that knows about film, that is the hardest journey because it's super private. And
yeah.
people will never, other filmmakers, they'll never tell you. They do not want you to know where they're getting their money from or how they're getting investments. And so that's simply the journey that Dave and I are on is meeting people and trying to get in front of people that actually were like, yo, I understand your vision. I want to make this into a feature. Let's do it. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, totally. But you have to have the backup, meaning that there's got to be trust and you got to have that experience. Like say you're as an actor, they got to know that okay, can this guy carry a film, right? Does he
Correct.
have
Yeah.
that? Does he have that chutzpah to do that? I guess, right? Does
Yeah.
he is he able to? Because not many people can, right? Like I think every actor, if you put them on a truth test, they think they can, but not all of them can, right? Like you're talking about like loving the character, related to the character. The main character is there in every scene, right? Like
Correct.
there's
Yeah.
a certain talent that's involved for you to do that, right? So
It's the famous thing, the camera doesn't lie. You know what I mean? Like when
yeah,
you see someone on screen, you see right away, like this obnoxious or whatever. So you know what I mean? And so, it's yeah, it's just it's a long journey. I mean, like when you've been doing it, you have to really just be all about this life. You know what I mean? And so that's the journey I'm on. Like, is that I'm in this for life, and so it's just about getting those relationships, meeting those people, and understanding that aspect. Because I'm Dave keeps on wanting to do a feature film. And
yeah,
I'm like, I'm not going to do a feature film out of my pocket because the one thing that I keep on hearing from everyone that has done is don't do it.
yeah, yeah.
Like every
But
single person, everyone's like, I did this. Like I spent a year, I took out loans. It was the worst decision. So like, all these people that I look up to, they all made shorts first. Like what's his face? Damien Chazelle, incredible director. He did a Whiplash. Like he
yeah,
made Whiplash as a short film first. It was super successful and I guess he got the funding to make it. And so that's just one example. But all my heroes, they all started off either in music videos, commercials, or they just simply made their short films. Then they got the back, and then they got the notoriety. And so, I'm really opposed to doing features myself. The people that should do features are people that are really into horror films. I'm not into the low budget horror films. It's not my MO. It's never
yeah.
been what I do.
Well,
But
there's
that is
different
where you
yeah,
can,
I see your argument. There's different arguments to do, right? Where like you talked about like Whiplash, and it's the same kind of analogy with Tarantino going back in the 90s where Harvey Keitel wanted to do Reservoir Dogs, right?
Mhm.
But then again, he already had backup with his scripts, right? Like he already sold scripts. But then Harvey Keitel's like, I'll do this film. So he signed on, even though he's not the major. Like it's the same thing with Whiplash, where I'm sorry, the guy he won an Oscar for the film, but the actor just kind of his name has just escaped me. But
Miles Teller or
no, the
J.K.
other guy,
Simmons. J.K.
yeah,
Simmons.
J.K. Simmons said, you know what, I like this guy. I'm going to do the film, right? And so
Yes.
there's that aspect as well, where like there's like a kind of like the daddy on the fathers in on set. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of
Absolutely.
there's that kind of aspect too, right? Like so, but I get it. But at the same time, it's like listen, there's lots of examples of someone doing a feature with no money and doing well, right? So yeah,
Well, so yeah, it's of course it's just we're past the era of clerks though, right? We're past clerks. You need to in order to do a feature now, you need to have massive funding. To make a feature film back then independently was a very big deal. You're shooting on film, right? And so,
it's more
you
about
know,
getting the eyes on it, right? It's more about like
it's yes,
where's it going
yes.
to go? Where's it going to be distributed, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean now the fees to submit to festivals are so high you can't believe. I mean, we were looking at a couple. It's like 110, $115 to submit to one film. So
yeah,
you keep on submitting. It's like okay, and then there's no guarantee that the festival is even going to play out for you. But it's about viewership and kind of getting those accolades and really testing your film for these panels and seeing what they think about it. And
yeah.
as of right now, this has been unbelievably successful for us with Memoria. We're getting
Oh yeah,
so much positive feedback. I wasn't expecting the level of success so far because we just started submitting this, I guess, a couple of months ago. So I wasn't expecting this kind of feedback, which is awesome. It's really
it's a
cool.
no-brainer acceptance. Like it's like for someone who like obviously does what I do, it should get accepted in every festival that you submit to. So
Thank you. I appreciate
no,
that.
it's like I
Yes,
don't like it doesn't make sense if a festival doesn't accept it, right? Because it's well executed, has a grand theme to it, and it's 5 minutes long. So it checks the
exactly.
three main boxes
Yeah.
that basically you're
Yeah.
looking for as a filmmaker, as a festival director.
For sure. No, no, that's exactly how we saw it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We were just like,
yeah,
that's why I love short films too so much is like the more you spread out a film, the longer you make it on a lower budget, all of a sudden you start seeing the holes. You start saying, oh, I don't know about that. And then, you know what I mean? So we made, hey, 5 minutes, we cut it way as far down as I possibly could. It was a little bit longer, but we kept on refining it. I did like, I can't even tell you how many cuts I've done of the film. And then we're finally like, this is it. It's wham bam. You don't wait at all. It's just fast paced and just, the edits are good, so
So then
yeah.
he wants. So what do you guys? Are you guys working together again? You going to make another short? Or what's the plan?
I'm writing a full on script right now called Scrap of Heaven. And so it's heavily inspired by David Fincher's Seven, and the movie Prisoners, Danny Villeneuve.
Yeah, good movie. Yeah,
I forget how to
Canadian
pronounce his last
director.
name,
Yeah, yeah,
but I'm a huge fan of him. And
yeah,
but yeah, so it's a gritty detective film that is very similar to Seven, and the intention behind the film once again is the same as Memoria. It's just like showing people that do have money that want to find new filmmakers that we know how to play ball. You know what I mean? And if we can do it on this low amount of money, imagine if you just gave us a little bit of something.
yeah.
Imagine what that could be if we're doing this for a couple grand. So that's the intention behind it. And this one's going to be a real. I'm really excited because I'm getting closing on finishing the script for this one, but it's going to be really really good. It's pretty dark. It's very gritty, and this one's going to have a little bit more fireworks than Memoria, which is more toned down and kind of very moody. This
Yeah.
one's going to have a little bit more action, so to say, some more action in moments like that.
So showing more of your body of work, showing what you could do.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is going to be like we're trying to like level up each film, obviously, and so it'll be much longer, probably like 10 to 15 minutes, and just kind of continue riding this wave. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it seems like you got a good partnership with him. You guys are good, balance each other. You guys, you know certain things, he knows certain things, and you guys get together and kind of make good stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. No,
Yeah.
no. Dave is the one. Dave like very much grounds me in reality. I'm a little bit more of the crazy one when it comes to like he's Dave's a lot more educated than I am when it comes to like hyper technical stuff on set. Where I'm just like I'm breaking rules or I want to do this. I'm like he's just well we can't do this because we got to do this and so he's
Yeah.
really really good at um at making sure that we're doing things that are technically sound, if that makes sense. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so that's why we work so well together. I'm about the spectacle. I want to, constantly. I'm
Yeah.
always creating for the audience. Always. I'm never
Yeah.
thinking really about my own intentions, but I'm always what is the audience going to be like? Wow, like the whole point is you want to make sure people are not looking at their phone. What can you constantly do to keep people glued to the screen? I'm always writing and thinking of that.
Yeah. That said, he's the one who wants to do a feature. You don't.
That's
So
correct. He wants to do the feature, and I'm just like,
yeah.
dude, I'm like, I don't know about that, man. Like that's a big commitment to
Well,
out of pocket.
the thing I'll say is that things are going to change, and nobody knows what's going to happen because the industry's in a weird place, right? And nobody really knows where things are headed. And so basically, all you have to do is just have to keep an eye on it and see where it's headed, and then you could take advantage of it. I know it's a simple thing to say, but basically, I think that I don't think we've had a change more than we have now in terms of like
Oh,
I think we've had
for sure.
change.
Yeah.
Of course, we've had change like in terms of equipment with from film to digital, of course, sound, the talkies, but this is a distribution change. This is a content change, right? So, and this is the first time we've ever really gone through this before. So, like, I don't like so keep an eye on it, and you never know like what's going to happen. And as long as you're ready to do a feature, just be ready because because when they start calling, you got to be ready
Oh,
like
oh yeah.
tomorrow.
I'm ready. I'm ready when it's
Yeah,
when I do not mind investing. Like I fully agree. There's a lot of people that say make sure you're willing to invest your own money.
yeah,
I'm all in, but I'm just
yeah,
saying like you can't to make a legitimate film, like I want like the $5 to $10 million range for a
yeah,
budget is what I want to really pull it off. And I'm saying that because I know that it would make money. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
know that if they gave me the keys to direct and to write a feature, I know that I'd make a profit. I know as long as they gave me the proper channels to be somewhat successful, I'm confident that I could get the job done and that I could get a studio to make some money.
yeah. No, just because now, like, there's really like before you talked about you would make it on VHS, you would make it on television, you'd make your money in the theater, of course. Now you really only make your money once, right? So
That's exactly right. And so That's correct, and that's the problem that once again people are like, oh, people are stopped going to the movies. And it's just like, no, they're really not. People just stopped going to see crappy movies. So, I mean, like, it's Zootopia 2, I think just broke the record for the most money ever by an animated film box office. I think they broke the record like right
It's funny.
away.
I just watched I just finished watching Zootopia because we're
Did
gonna watch
you?
Zootopia 2 in a couple of days. I just finished watching the first one right before I
It's
talked to you.
amazing.
So yeah,
It's incredible. Yeah,
it's a
Zootopia's,
great.
I
I was
mean,
blown away how good it was. Yeah, so I can't wait to see the second
it's
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. But like that's all. It's just like same thing with like F1 and Brad Pitt that just came out a couple of months ago, I guess, and that like did phenomenal. Top Gun Maverick made $1 billion. Avatar made like $2 billion both times. And so it's just like people want to see good films. That's all. They just want to see good movies.
Yeah, 100%. Well, you made a great movie. It's one of the best short films of the year. I'm not. I never say that on a podcast. It really is. It's great. It's in the
And I
top
really
10.
appreciate that.
It's in
I
the top 10
really
of the
appreciate that.
films I've seen. So keep making them, man. And let's talk again when you make your next film.
Also, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on here.